do some Randori?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
My student has not done that.
Okay, so what should we tell people about what Randori is who've never done Randori before? What would help?
All fall down.
Well, there's a lot of falling down. Yeah.
But nice. It's nice.
Try not to hurt each other when we go
Just
down.
about everyone wins, right?
Does everybody win in Randori?
Grab Nick.
That's one thing to think about. Is it
Grab
winning
Nick.
and
We're
losing?
glad to do it
Yeah, I
that
think
first.
winning is sort of an irrelevant concept for
there
Randori.
should be
So
a
Nikki said something about that. Had to do with transcending victory and loss in order to study victory and loss. Yeah, that if you want to understand the stuff about winning, then you have to study all the gizmos of winning. And if you want to understand the nature of defeat, you got to study all the nature of defeat. And then you have to transcend those, basically. I would argue transcendent include your whole repertoire. And that has to say something about what we normally think of as uke and tori, which go away in Randori, because we're both doing both roles. You're giving me energy, I'm giving you energy, and we're both deploying the issues. It goes back to Kitoru practices of grappling, so it is a grappling-oriented thing. We're not out here just trying to slug each other. You see people who get into that sort of mode with Randori sometimes, and I'm just trying to get you to give me, and it's more sparring, I would guess. It would be a better term for that. And this sparring is not quite the same because we're actually pulling off of a grappling kind of strategy. And that's distinct. What else should we tell him?
How does it fit in between kata and shiai?
Yeah, shiai is where we're going to war. Shiai is designed around a pure win-loss thing. There's something on the line, a buck or a trophy or a pretty belt or whatever. There's some sort of reward, and somebody's going to get it and somebody's not going to get it. And so there's very definite signs of win-lose going on with shiai. In the ultimate sense, it would be you're dead, you're not dead. So there's a level of shiai that's more serious than shiai, in which it's not just a 50-50 proposition, and we should be aware of that too. Shinken shobu, which is life and death, is never a 50-50 thing. We think of games in which you're going to lose and I'm going to win, or I'm going to win and you're going to lose as a 50-50 deal. But Shinken shobu says, no, there's about a 30% chance that I win, and about a 30% chance that you win. The rest of it is a percent chance that we both lose. Because when it comes into life-death stuff, yeah, you often wind up with that percentage in which both people are injured or destroyed in the process. And that gets washed out when it starts becoming purely competitive 50-50, right? And so there's this level that is life-death. We're not doing that today, thank you. Although it's good to keep in mind, and it's good to train with it in mind so that you can have some sense of reality about what's going on. There's a level of shiai, which is, yeah, who's going to get the trophy, who's going to get the gizmo, the $5 bill, the whatever the stakes are. Randori is not up to that level. There's a sense of Randori being a free practice which includes elements of a competitive sense, but is not limited by that competitive sense. So it's almost as if, yeah, we're going to do this competition thing and we're going to forget about it as to who's winning. And just do the competition thing and not give a shit about it. Or losing something. We're actually more interested in what's going on in the dynamic process of it. And so it's like a competition, but without worrying about it too much. There's no trophy. There's nobody at the end going to say, ha ha, I won, you lost. That doesn't really come into it. Everybody's just exchanging win and loss constantly. And what's really winning, I think, in Randori has to do with when you find the juicy, interesting stuff that is novel and surprising. And when you're just starting out, it's all novel and surprising. But when you've done it a long time, that becomes less and less often because you've seen a lot more. So you're actually starting mining it for novelty, looking for more interesting bits that, hey, I haven't done that before. Wow, I have no idea where we're going from here.
I like watching the students fight.
When
They go through something juicy and go, whoa, I just, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's neat stuff. And you discover new stuff. There's a way in which all the katas are just footnotes to this sort of practice. all the katas are just pointing towards Randori-esque experience, or Shiai, or Shiban Shobu type of experience, but basically pointing towards this level where chaos is included. When we take katas, it has this level, you were saying that the other end of the spectrum is kata, in which we have defined roles.
Right.
You get me, and I get you, and we all know what's next. You know, we're taking turns, and you can do a sort of Randori that way for a while, so that you ease yourself into it, taking turns, in other words. But over time, that should blur and become less identifiable, so that it's we're both taking this turn now. Now it's both our turn again, and let's see what's happening in this moment of engagement where neither of us can predict what's going to be the dominance in the given moment-to-moment encounter.
So it's less choreographed, more chaotic.
Yeah, chaos is the central feature of Randori. The term Randori, Ran, R-A-N, is chaos. Dori is practice. So it is literally chaos.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it means. That we're including an unpredictable sense in what we're doing with each other. So, yeah. Within that, we don't want it to be killing each other either. And so, yeah, you want to put some limits to it.
Right.
When I worked with George Ledger and all those guys, even, you know, at the level I'm at, I feel like I've never been able to have that level of Randori that their Sandons have. I mean, theoretically I could do that, but I always felt, am I missing something? Or, I know going super fast like that, you kind of lose your finesse.
Although this is different, yeah.
But I always felt that once in a while, kind of like that would be good.
Speed is completely, you can experiment with speed, and this is a good place to experiment. You can start slow, and slow is great for methodical, placing yourself into imprinting really fine-tuned coordination. And over time, you can work up to regular full tilt speed with really fine-tuned coordination. It's probably dumb to start there. If you start fast and you say, hey, I'm just going to draw a straight line. Sean Ashby did a wonderful thing. He said, you take a guy and say, hey, draw a straight line. Now draw 10 of them fast as you can, right on top of it. And when they go real fast, you wind up with this mess. You say, okay, now draw a straight line and draw 10 of them really slow and precise right on top of it. And you wind up with a really nice straight flat line. So that the coordination just hasn't built up in an untrained person to put down those lines really quick. Now, a trained artist will eventually get, and it'll still be pretty damn tight when they're going fast. But when you haven't trained your hand and eye to do that job, you wind up with a
star.
Yeah, well, kind of a, yeah, watch John Simon's
like a bound haystack.
Right, it's a little, yeah, it's messy. So you use time and speed to build precision. Once the precision is there, you can alter speed on the line. You can go up to full tilt speed, which is fine. But you probably don't want to do it until the skill sets are kind of locked in a precise way.
There's another problem with speed. Mass times velocity, which is speed, is momentum. And momentum can cause bad things when the momentum suddenly stops in somebody, or on somebody, or in a wall, something like that.
It does simply become more dangerous.
It becomes the deceleration.
You wind up
It's not the
falling
fall
harder
that hurts
faster.
you, it's
the
the sudden deceleration at the end.
The sudden stopping part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yes, safety goes into it with the speed and power issue. Sure. But back to your frustration with what you were experiencing with these people who train faster most of the time.
Most of the time I felt that, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm trying to work at a very, you know, that I want to draw that nice fine small line, and they want to just get a paintbrush and go, and I felt, you know, their stuff's good, but I just didn't want to work that fast.
Right.
And it was frustrating to me because I didn't feel like I was learning much.
Well, and often they're coming out of a teaching system which is less precise to begin with. If you say, how long does it take to make a shodan? And we look around the room, well, a couple of years. Yeah. Round there takes maybe 6. And it's just given that it's going to take 6 or 7. That's Greg Eagles. He went through that system for shodan, for Aikido. And it took him, yeah, I think 5 or 6 years. And that's training damn near every day. But they're training at a pace in which you're not going to imprint the precision. It's going to take longer to get the finesse. And some things never did get finished. He never developed skills with Randori like I had in a relatively short amount of time. And that's kind of what turned him around. I said, oh, I think I'll come to this system a little bit. Because he had some really cool, slick, zoom skills, but he didn't necessarily understand the strategies of hand change and grappling and what happens when a hand gets introduced. And so it was kind of an education point. And that does happen too. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, Raymond talks about it moving so fast that you can't see with your mind what's happening. And you can do things that are full tilt boogie, and guy falls down, and somebody says, wow, what happened?
I have no idea.
I got no idea. I went there and they did something and he fell down. But whenever you slow it down so you can actually like kind of concentrate it, at it, look at it, feel it going in, going out. Uke can feel it going in, going out. Whoever falls down is like, wow, I can feel that happen to me. And you ask them questions and they can respond. It's a better learning model for that moment. And you can go through that moment 20 times fast and nobody knows what the hell happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very little information transferred at that point. There's a lot of repetition.
Yep.
You've learned it in this pattern.
What are you doing? I got no
And you
idea
might
what I
have
do, but
learned
they
it
fall down every
more
time.
or less precise, but you've learned it and you've done lots of reps. And you get a lot of that sort of training in schools that are designed around that. So part of it is skill system, part of it is a different skill systems too. So that's happened as well. We've seen relatively, modest ranked people, Shodan type folks go off to train in other places and no fault of their own say, yeah, but I can do that. at a moment where the teacher might not necessarily take that fall. And then wind up, really pissing a lot of people off. And it's not that they were trying to be rude, it's just they came from a system in which we have hand Randori. And they don't. They have Randori that's based around, okay, it's Glenn's turn now, 3 of us are going to charge at him. And we're all charging at him, and he knocks us down. And we jump up and charge at him again until somebody says, Mate, that's enough, and then 4 now. No, it's Dale's turn, we all charge at him. And it's sort of, it's chaos, that's for damn sure. But there's still a sense of uke tori, it's just we're a bunch of ukes. And we're coming in fast sequence, and we're not giving you room to set things up, and you've got to sort it out on the fly, and so it is encouraging dealing with chaos and dealing with different timing issues. But it also is still uke tori. And that's a different set of solvable problems or insolvable problems than we have when we're doing Toshu run. So it's one approach towards chaos, but it doesn't include all the nitty-gritty we wind up with. And I've yet to see any other system that has the nitty-gritty world. In the Tomiki world or outside of Tomiki. There are people with very neat, subtle skills, and there are people that are reactive and really slick in what they're doing. But I don't see the hand Randori skill set outside of what we find that. Exactly. I say things that are semi-comparable, nothing quite. So what else should we tell him? Go slow? I think so.
Take your glasses off.
Start slow is good.
Yeah.
Start slow. And yeah.
If you're not laughing, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, we should have a little fun with it.
Right.
Looks like.
Have some fun.
Okay. What other advice? Well,
Don't stop moving. Keep moving.
keep moving.
Yes.
Don't stop your ass.
So you would
They're all giving good advice.
You would say some salient points to what are the good elements or principles of Randori?
I would, when I train to Randori, I like to work as light and soft and slow as I'm able to, given what somebody's standing in front of me.
Okay.
And so if they're willing to go really light and really slow and really soft, I really like that. Because I get the most, you see, the encounter with it, I get the most information. But I can't predict when you step up and move out how you're going to be. And so I put my hands on you, and if it is quicker, faster, whatever, then I will match that.
Okay.
Or get in, I will at least try to get in resonance with it. I won't necessarily match it perfectly, but I'll try to get on board with where you're coming from so that we can have some interaction. I won't try to impose a speed or a softness or whatever. I'll just go ahead and get with where you're at and go from there. And sometimes people are real cranky and hard. And then you just have to deal with that and work with it.
Now, one thing,
And hopefully talk them down from the edge when they're standing on the say, hey, you're about to fall off the edge on your head. Oh, you might want to try something a little different there. But
don't be afraid to fall down.
falling is part of the deal, generally speaking.
And sometimes it's the option to take.
Yeah.
There's no winner loser, right? Fall down.
Falling's good. Falling's good. And actually coming back from off balance is good. I like it when off balance plays itself out in a elongated way because I think surviving under conditions of off balance and coming back into stability and potential for re-exerting attack from bad positions is one of the real great uses that we get out of this. So if I do Randori, and my whole Randori is, and I'm getting him all the time, and he's in trouble, and I'm never in trouble, and I'm just killing him, and I never have to have duress. That's not too good for me, actually.
Right.
I can be the bad dude that smites him all the time. But actually, to train me, I need some time locked up for a while. I need to go to those terrible places over and over again to condition myself to come out of those terrible places. Because getting out of those terrible places has something to do with survival in the real world when you're turning a corner and somebody's hitting you in the head with a brick.
Right.
And the first time that we're in a fight is that, somebody's hitting you upside the head. And you're in a terrible place. You got to be able to come back from there. You have to recover from there. And if you play like you never get God, I'm just going to knock him down, knock him down, knock him down, knock him down, but you never wind up in the hole yourself. I think you're really short-circuiting part of your own survival. Because we all need to invest in either the falling or the off-balance or both to a significant degree to train the reflexes that allow us to survive under real violence. As long as you're just dominating the scene, you're not really investing in the complete picture. In other words, you're doing part of Tomiki's equation, but you're not doing the other part. You're not investing in defeat. You need to invest in it. To really understand it, and really understand what it takes to come out of it. Cool? So yeah, we don't fight the loss, we actually indulge in the loss. So if I'm finding myself beating the hell out of Andre, he never gets me. I'll probably say, no, I'm going to go a little slower, Andre, why don't you put a hand in my face? Come on, there you go, good man! And I will talk him into it. Because by golly, I need some more of that stimulus.
Right.
I need to learn to live in that awful condition. And don't be afraid to stay in the awful condition. As John reminded me, that there's a temptation to just immediately snap. Ha ha! I survived immediately. But rather than that, I'll hang out with it. Hang out with the uncomfortable thing. Shit, this is uncomfortable. My spine is locked back, my thigh is stressed, my belly's stretched, and I can't stand up good. And I'm like, damn, hang out here for a while. Hang out. Maybe take a few steps if you can. And hang out and see what your subconscious is. Because my conscious mind has already defined that. And I'm aware of that. He's probably pretty aware of that too. Because that's the obvious big thing, right? The conscious mind has already said, oh, here's where we're going. But I'm not so interested in that conscious solution. I'm more interested in hanging out with this problem and hanging out with this problem and, oh, that solution. I didn't think about that at first. But that might actually be a little too easy too. So I probably need to go back and let, there it is again. Hang out, hang out, hang out. There you go. Didn't think about that. I don't know if you thought about that one.
No?
Yeah. I like the ones I don't think about and they don't think about either.
Right.
That's the novelty I was talking about earlier, where I can kind of milk it for the non-obvious solutions.
Right.
So that you're problem solving. You got the set of obvious solutions that you've habitually been burning in over and over and over again. But then you also start looking for the stuff that surprises you. And your subconscious is really good at that. It can come up with brilliant things
Yes.
that are much more brilliant than the conscious mind.
Right.
That's very cool. Stuff that the kata didn't burn into you predictably. Will start being bubbling in. Cool?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to turn the bell on, and I'm going to just pair up and go. Try to work with everybody. Try to work with as many people as you can. And we think Randori is just a blur. One of the things I notice in different folks is that the temptation to activate at the wrists and hands.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times where it's good. There's times Derek's a strong guy here. And he's in a power range where if I make a fist and twist it, you can fight that back right there, right? Just fight it back. Don't let me do that. You got two hands. Oh, there you go. Bam. But at Derek's end of his arm, as far as his arm gets, his arm gets as long as they can get. He's got nothing. And so the same is true with me. If you're down here and I'm in a pushing relationship, pulling relationship, I got some power on this thing. I can hold it taut. And he tries to twist out of it or pull out of it or push out of it or whatever, I just take down. I mean, it's just dead. The time he wants to exert force at the end of his hand is when my arm is as long as it gets. He wants to get that, and just relax your arm and get away from it. Really far, 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 far. Now you can go. Right. But extend their range when they're working with power. There's all this athleticism. Extend it out to as far as their arms go. Right. Because out at the end of their arms, I don't care if they're, the Great Kong. At the end of the Great Kong's arms, he's just at his fingertips. And out there, it's all equal. Out there, you can just say, no Great Kong, don't twist on me anymore. But try not to invest in tight, twisty games where we're close. Tight, twisty games where we're close is always going to be dependent upon whoever's got the tight, twistier reflexive tissue in the game. And you may be the dominant dude in a given zone on a given day or in a given place until you walk into place. I walked in a gym in Vail, Colorado. And back then I was in shape, sort of. I've never been in shape, really, but I was in shape, sort of. I was going to the gym 3 times a week. I was lifting weights. I was on the rowing machine. I was pedaling the bike. I was running. I could go 5 miles. Man, for me, I was in shape. I wasn't really in shape compared to in shape people, but I was in shape for me. And I've been in gyms a lot. And I wasn't as big as I am now, but I was bigger in the gyms that I would go to. There's always you walk in the gym, and I don't know if you've been in gyms much, but there's always there's the guys that are big, and there's the smaller guys, and there's this whole hierarchy of guys. And it's not like you wander around awesome people or anything, but there's the power lifters. Leave them the fuck alone, They're moving massive weight up and down stuff. I'm going to go through my curls. But I generally would walk in and be in the larger end of the spectrum. I walk in this gym in Vail, and I'm doing my thing. And in walks 6 guys that are all this tall, and they're all that wide. And it was football players from the Denver Broncos. There's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them. And I was relative to them as you are to me. That's exactly kind of the ratio it felt like. And I watched this mass move in the room, and I realized I'm in a whole different world than I'm used to. This is a whole different mass of people. Judo is a great equalizer for that, but if you have any kind of, hey, let's arm wrestle in you, arm wrestling games ain't going to go with the Denver Broncos, Foot sweeps, different. There is something about foot sweeps that's a great equalizer. You can look at big Henry-sized people and say, look, his foot hit the ground. Look, his foot hit the ground. Everybody's feet hit the ground the same, pretty much. They might be bigger feet or little feet, but they're all feet, and you don't really care. As long as they go like that, you got them. You just got to deal with this much of them that's in front of you. The rest of them is extraneous to this. And really, it's only this much of them that you're really interested in. Their foot touching the ground. But outside of that, outside of any sort of feeling of Yeah, you walk in there with the Denver Broncos, and it's scary. It's a different universe. You're suddenly, and it's Lilliputians and the Gulliver Travel thing. Wow, all these giants are walking around. And so, yeah, even if you've been on the dominant scale, you can always walk into those places where you're a complete outlier. You know? So you can't depend on that to be the juice flow. Right. You got to depend on a set of criteria that you can apply across the board. And working at the end of the arms of the Denver Broncos guys is absolute. It's like the feet. As soon as they're out here, just barely touching that damn football, they're just as weak as any other guy. But as soon as they come into the power range, now, man, they got horsepower that I've never seen. That's Dana Duncan again. I got to get out to the end of that line because his power is like trying to throw a wall. Stay on the outside of the curve. And once you're on the outside of the curve, you can touch it like just with a couple of fingers. It doesn't take much. But getting inside that curve and letting it munch on you, whoo, right. Beware. Beware. So, yeah.
So, in my Randori, as much as the opportunity allows me, you know, I just have to push it my feet, just with this feet. What I try to do is just like what you're saying. I try to just go with it until it extends them.
Until they're hanging out around, then move around.
Whether he's pushing or pulling, just try to go with it.
With that force.
Or if he's pushing down. If he's pushing down, I
Down here.
go
Right.
forward. That's why we do that last technique of the walk.
Right.
We're doing squatting.
We're pretty unique in the world with that we do this kind of bend in our knees all the time. And some people don't bother to do it, but it is a wise thing. So that when down occurs, you have this option. Because most people, when down occurs, have this option. They don't choose to bend their knees, they don't choose to keep the range of motion in their knees, they don't choose to keep this flexibility. But when you can come up and down off of this, and it's just part of the natural game, and the rest of the world bothers to go like this, wow, you get lots of opportunities. Because we all start going down and they're going like this and you're going like this, you still have a step. There's nothing wrong with this, except you don't have much step once you go there. The only downside of breaking posture to go down is that your feet stop doing it right. Down here, you can still operate like a crab at least. It sucks to try to go forward or backward. But you got this sort of thing. You can still be somewhat mobile. But man, ain't very many people mobile here more than a step or two before they get too wide for their frame and they start bottoming out.
So that extension, following along with the push or pull is what you said.
That was this morning, yeah.
That's June.
Principle of June. Principle of June. Cool. Anything else, please? Okay. Well, thank you all. Woo! Randori is often its own reward and its own frustration. So thank you very much.